G'day there, James here. This is my latest update from what I previously coined as the law of morality. And this video is about objective law and where does its authority come from. So to begin and clear the clutter, the idea of God's law does not exist because God doesn't exist. There is also no natural law that is intrinsic to nature. It doesn't exist. Man must create law because law is created, it's not discovered. And this is in relation to human interaction, not physical laws of reality. Morality, on the other hand, is discovered, it's not created. When it comes to law, there are only subjective and objective laws. Objective is that which is independent of consciousness, that which is true of external reality, regardless of opinion or imagination. Subjective is dependent on consciousness and feelings, not facts and external reality. So the four principal objective laws are 1. Create no loss. 2. Create no harm. 3. Don't be dishonest and unethical in your dealings. And 4. Don't disturb the peace. These laws are framed in the negative as prohibitions of what one cannot do, in comparison to rights, which are primarily framed in the positive as things we have the right to do. And this is simply just for ease of comprehension. Well, what is objective law? And law is a formalized derivation from objective morality, which prohibits inimical action amongst men. So I know that may be a little bit confusing. What does this mean? Law is a formalization of objective morality. It's derived from objective morality. That's law's source. It must be coming from morality, otherwise it's subjective law. And it prohibits inimical action. So inimical means that which is going to cause harm or injury. It's unfriendly, hostile, or its behavior of an enemy towards someone. It's like enmity. It's the aggressive, unfriendly, hostile behavior of an enemy. So that's what law is about, is to prohibit that kind of action amongst men. Objective law is the codification of objective morality. This is just another way to say it. It can be useful to say it in many different ways to get it into your head. I know it helps a great deal when I do this for myself. It is a code of action, prohibition, and remedy created using objective morality as its source, which governs man's interactions. Well, what is subjective law? Subjective law is a code of action, prohibition, and remedy. So same as objective law, those three parts, right? But it's created by people in positions of power according to their whims, desires, and benefits, irrespective of right and wrong. That's the difference between subjective law and objective law. And all governments of the world today primarily operate using subjective law. Well, much of their law is. They have some objective law, but that's for another time. What is objective morality? Objective morality is a set of principles derived from objective reality, explaining the appropriate method for intelligent life to behave, by teaching right from wrong, good from bad. When done correctly, objective law is a created reflection of discoverable objective morality. And the words of ethics and morality are interchangeable here. Well, what is subjective morality then? If we know what objective morality is, well, what about a subjective morality, which many countries and cultures still practice today? Most of the world are unaware of the existence of an objective morality, independent of consciousness. So subjective morality is right and wrong decided by the whims of those who are the strongest. That's it. That's all it is. When the man raises his hand to his wife, you do what I tell you, I'm right. Well, he's the strongest, so he's right. That's subjective morality, and you can amplify that and cross it over to governments and religions, etc., throughout all of history and today. Subjective morality. You do what we say because we're the strongest. How is objective morality discovered? Well, objective morality is induced, as opposed to deduced, via the method of reason rather than faith, and observation versus rationalization, as in the philosophy of rationalism, which isn't so rational as it sounds, over time. So I'll say that again without the in commas or in brackets I have here. Objective morality is induced via the method of reason and observation over time. That's how we come to discover it. Okay? What is the basis for the validity of objective law and thus objective morality? Well, the answer is the golden rule of equity. What is the golden rule of equity? It's to treat others as you wish to be treated. So simple. But why is that valid? The golden rule of equity is valid because all men and women of sound mind are conscious and intelligent life forms. As intelligent life in the form of men and women, we can all feel pain and pleasure. As men and women, we're all thinking, conceptual, and imaginative beings. Thus, we all innately, so intrinsically or inherently, possess the same rights as we share the same fundamental attributes and are the same species of being. We have the right to not be treated by others in a hypocritical manner, i.e. in a way they would not wish to be treated. Which inversely is the same as we don't have the right to treat others how we would not wish to be treated. Some people may wish to rape and murder others, but no one desires to be murdered, which is to be killed without consent, or raped, forced to have sex without consent. No one wants that. Hypocrisy is not orderly. It is chaotic and has no place in the lives of intelligent beings because it is a violation of human nature. Because it is to act unreasonably and detrimentally. Well, what are rights and what rights do we have? Rights are conditions of existence which are necessary for the proper survival of man. And when I say man here, that means mankind, men and women, children, humans in general, right? Rights are a set of principles objectively formulated by intelligent life, for intelligent life, on the basis of intelligent life's survival in reality, and for the purpose of providing a means of protection and remedy against other intelligent life that may violate those rights. So if you'd like, you can just replace intelligent life with men or mankind. We all have the right to perform any action, provided it does not initiate a violation of consent or cause harm. I'll say that one again, that one's very important. We all have the right to perform any action. You do whatever you want. You're free to do whatever you want, as long as it does not initiate or begin a violation of consent or cause harm. A few such rights are the right to property, life, association, travel, liberty, bodily autonomy, privacy, trade, and self-defense. These are just some of the rights. This is by no means an exhaustive list of all the rights we have. That would be too long for this video. Rights have been created by men, for men, to protect good men from bad men. Said very simply. There is no such thing as gay rights, trans rights, religious rights, women's rights, minority rights, corporation rights. There's only individual rights, which is, funnily enough, is the smallest minority that exists. There's only individual rights of the individual man, woman, and child. Animals and mentally disabled people still have rights, but not the same as a sound of mind man. Example, an animal doesn't have the right to property, even if we permit it, or its owner permits it, it's still not a right, but they have the right to not be treated with cruelty. A mentally disabled person doesn't have the right to own a weapon or drive a car or partake in other dangerous activities an otherwise sound individual could. The only true equality amongst men is their right to their rights. What's the standard of value that we all share? The objective standard of value, which ties reality, consciousness, morality, and law together, is one's own life. Objectively, all human life, of sound mind, wishes to continue living and pursue happiness. No one has the right to forcefully interfere with a man's life unless he has initiated a violation of the law. As conscious, intelligent life, we seek peaceful order, not pure chaos or even organized chaos. Peaceful order is our natural state of being. Organized chaos, clarified, is order commanded through fear and violence. Welcome to the world of today. As such, we strive to make our own lives orderly to best survive and thrive. So where does the golden rule of equity come from? To treat others as you wish to be treated is the quintessence of objective morality, but how did it arrive? How does it arrive? And quintessence means the most pure form of essence, which is the golden rule of equity. Just as objective law must be derived from objective morality, guess this, must be derived from objective reality. A metaphysical axiom of objective reality is the law of identity. And an axiom is something you can't get beneath, can't get below, can't get behind. It's something that is self-refuting, self-defeating, inviolable. Meaning every time you try and argue against an axiom, you only end up proving that axiom. And so a metaphysical axiom, metaphysics being the first branch of philosophy, well, equally with epistemology, metaphysics meaning pertaining to the whole of existence, everything in totality, is the law of identity right now. That's what we're talking about. And that states that everything in reality has a nature. All entities have an identity. They are what they are, and they aren't what they aren't. A is A. A is not B. A is A. Therefore, humanity has an objective nature and identity. We have a means of survival and requirements to survive. Our only method of proper survival is reason, and our primary requirement to survive is freedom, or more specifically, liberty, which is the freedom from oppression or violent people. That's a specific type of freedom. With the liberty to survive, we are then able to deal with and overcome the challenges of existing in reality as we best see fit. Making money, acquiring food, shelter, clothing, water, etc. All these requirements to survive and thrive. Since all humans' method of survival is the same, that of reason, we all require liberty to continue properly living, which means freely, not enslaved or deceived, because then that's not survival, that's improper survival. Then we all have equal rights, irrespective of the fact that some men are far more intelligent than others. Superior intelligences does not grant superior rights. It only grants superior ability to overcome the challenges of life. It is in all men's best interests to not violate the law, because if they did, it would jeopardize their own safety and happiness by risking retaliatory action in the examples of vengeance or punishment dealt by the affected parties. It's in your own interests not to break the law. Since existence exists, we're here, and because everything which exists possesses an identity, we have reduced objective law to the most fundamental axioms available, existence and identity. Reality exists, and conscious humans exist within reality and have an identity. Our identity demands, without alternative, that we survive via reason and achieve the requirements of life to continue living. When one man behaves unreasonably towards another and violates his consent, free will, violates his rights, which is his ability to perform permissible actions, or violates the law by committing a prohibited action, he is violating the golden rule of equity, and in essence, becoming a hypocrite, a chaotic hypocrite. There is no way to reduce the argument for objective rights in law further than what we've just done. We cannot ask the question we cannot ask and receive an answer to the question of why does reality demand that we survive via reason and require liberty to do so? It just is. It just is that way. But why do we have the nature we do and possess an identity? Because that's just a fact of reality. It just is. But why? It just is. You can't get behind it. There's no more else to it. But what if someone believes they are a different species because they're superior and thus they have more rights than others? Answer, well, then they're not of sound mind. So where does objective law get its authority from? Objective morality. Where does that get its authority from? Objective reality. Where does that get its authority from? It is the authority. In times of doubt, reality is the ultimate arbiter and the last court of appeals. But how is reality the authority? Come on, tell me. Because it is what is. Reality is that which exists and is discoverable by man, any man, throughout all of time. Existence exists. Humans exist within existence. Everything that exists has an identity. The authority to act according to our identity comes from the fact of our identity. There are no higher truths than the facts of reality. But what if someone comes along with a good sounding argument that we should let them control us and we don't have the right to disobey them? Today? Okay. Well, answer. It's illogical to believe that another being just like yourself with the same nature, method of survival, requirements of survival, and objectives of survival somehow has the right to override your rights. It's just plain nonsensical, irrational, illogical. Next question. But what if God was real? A being unlike us and genuinely superior? Would it not then have the right to dominate us and disregard objective law? Answer. No, as it would still be a violation of the golden rule of equity. It matters not how intelligent the superior being is. They would not have the right to violate our rights because we are intelligent life. Although in reality, just because someone doesn't have the right to violate you, they still unfortunately often do. Objective law and rights are merely a preventative and corrective measure against infractions. They are not an inviolable defense system against all threats. They are just the best, most fair and rational system of order that is able to be constructed and articulated. Who decides what is objective law? Philosophers do. Philosophers who are intelligent and passionate enough to discover objective reality, objective morality, and to create objective law, because who else would have the requisite knowledge to do so? Think about it. Sure, some great unphilosophical thinkers can contribute, but ultimately it's the philosopher, the objective philosopher, mind you, very, very specific with that right now. The objective philosopher, not the subjective philosopher, the objective. It's they who have the greatest love for truth, who is willing and able to go the full way. So, to reiterate succinctly, objective reality and the law of identity reveal mankind's nature. Objective morality is based upon the golden rule of equity and rights. This gives rise to objective law. So, that's the end, and this is only a very short explanation of this topic. For far greater details, you can watch the playlists of Introduction, the Beginner's Philosophy of Objectivism with Ayn Rand and Leonard Peikoff. You can get into the Intermediate category and the Advanced playlist, mainly full of lectures from Leonard Peikoff, which breaks us down in much, much deeper detail. It'll be 2 hours just on the nature of man, 2 hours just on metaphysics. Yeah, that's a hell of a lot more detail there. You can also look into Mark Passio talking about objective rights. You can look into Larkin Rose talking about rights and anarchy and morality as well. There's lots of good sources out there, but just make sure they're objective and put it through your faculty of reason to discern the truth, what's right, what's wrong. And remember, no one is infallible, not even this guy right here. We all make mistakes. And like I said, this is an updated version of what I used to call the 4 laws of morality, or the law of morality, L-O-R-E. But now I've changed it back to L-A-W because it seems more applicable and appropriate and accurate to call it that type of law, L-A-W. And they're the 4 principles of objective law, because once you go deeper, you can have many, many more specific, nuanced, codified laws in regards to so many different situations. Because if there's one thing that humans are renowned for, it is conflict. And so we need systems of law to resolve and arbitrate those conflicts. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do I even really need to tell you what to do? You know what to do, okay? With that being said, have fun. Bye-bye.